everyone, welcome back to the Lemon Abroad. Today is almost the last day of February, so I was preparing to do my monthly reflections and goal setting for the month ahead. I thought that this could be interesting or useful to some of you who are also looking for different ways to be organized and maybe to be a bit more intentional with your goal setting. Over the past few years, I have developed this method of reflection and intentional goal setting, and I found that it works really well for me and helps me to stay on track with my goals. This all came about when my friends and I got together for New Year's Eve of 2020. I know it maybe wasn't the best time to be planning our ambitions, but we didn't know it at the time. My friends and I all created a large vision board. We each had our own poster board and we wrote all over it where we reflected on the previous 10 years. For us, it was kind of perfect timing because it had been about 10 years since we all had graduated from high school and had been out in the world and trying to find our place in it. On the other side of the board, we wrote what we wanted to happen in the next 10 years. What were our goals? Where would we like to be? On the past 10 years side, we wrote our achievements and memorable life events. On my vision board, for example, I wrote that I had started to write my blogs. I had published my poetry book. I wrote down some of the places I had lived around the world and also some more personal things. On the side where I wrote my goals for the next 10 years, I listed things in many categories, such as the work I want to be doing, things I want to be doing in my personal life, and even places I would like to travel. One thing I will say about my vision board and even my whole approach to goal setting is to be adaptable, be flexible. You know, your goals and interests change over time. There are things that you might be super passionate about in 5 years that you haven't even heard of yet. So when I made my vision board, I made it with more general overarching themes, general ideas about the life I would want to have, and especially being guided by my values, which are at the heart of it. For example, I don't have specific career goals or milestones listed on my vision board, but instead I have overarching ideas such as contribute positively to the lives of others or create something that is beneficial for other people. This is an intention that is easier for me to check in on. I can look at the work I'm doing now and ask myself if it aligns with the values that are at the heart of that goal. In areas about my personal life, for example, I'll have something written that says focus on wellness and balance, stay present, make relationships with family and friends a priority. These aren't just items to be checked off a to-do list, but they're guiding principles that I want to be sure I'm incorporating into my life. One important thing to keep in mind when you're doing these goal setting exercises is that your goals should be practical and achievable. So for example, if you were to write get married, that's not really something that you could necessarily control by yourself, but instead you could write something like be open to love. And then you can look at that and say, am I being open to love in my life? Am I signing up for activities where I'm going to meet new people and putting myself out there? Am I doing the work on myself so that way when it's time for me to have a partner, I'm ready to be present in that relationship? So there's many ways that you can take steps to achieve a goal like that, one that's centered on more of a holistic perspective of who you are and how you're presenting yourself in the world. So after having done this activity with my friends, I could have very well rolled up my vision board and just put it in the back of my closet and not thought about it again. But soon after, the lockdown happened, and that was a time in my life where I was feeling really lost. I wasn't feeling like I was doing anything or moving forward in my life. So it was at that point that I really got into doing monthly reflections. I would sit down at the end of every month and write out what I had done that month, if I tried something new, if I started learning a new language, if I had signed up to go to graduate school. And looking back on these, I realized that while sometimes it felt like I wasn't moving forward, I really was. Okay, so now let me step back a bit. And now I'm going to go into basically how I've been organizing myself since then. So, first, I will show you my weekly calendar. This is it. It's just a plain weekly calendar, and it has space for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, weekend, and little to-do lists here. Now, I won't lie, there are many weeks when the to-do list does not get done, and I have to put the to-do list on next week. But what's important for me is that at the end of every week, I rip off the week and that's it. It's done. That way, I start each week with a clean slate. In my weekly calendar, I write basically everything I have going on, all of my appointments for the week, dance class, doctor's appointments, meetings with friends, going to volunteer, any activity I'm doing, this is where I put it so that I can organize myself. And like I said, I also have my running to-do list that sometimes goes on to the next week. But at the end of the week, I rip it off, I rip it into pieces, and I throw it out. That's it. That week is done. Now, I have another planner, which is my yearly planner that's also organized by weeks. Let me show you. Okay, so here you can see it's arranged by week. And then there's also this little like notes area down here. So in this planner, this is where I keep a record of all my important appointments. Did I have a doctor's appointment? Did I get my hair cut? Also, this is where I write down like my exercises that I can keep track of those. I also have all my friends' birthdays in here so I can remember them. And in the little notes section, I always do a weekly reflection. So let me see what some of my weekly reflections were. This week I drove a stick shift for the first time. This week I went to Catania and had my dance workshop. So anything significant that happened during the week. And this makes it really easy at the end of the month to then do my monthly reflection where I gather all of those important things I did and I put them in my monthly reflection. So then by the end of the year, I have a list of paper with my January, February, March, etc., all of my monthly reflections. And as you may guess, I then make a smaller yearly reflection where I take the most significant things that happened and I put them in my yearly reflection. These can be anything. I started a new volunteer work, or I graduated from graduate school, or I learned to drive a car. I made new friends. I improved my language skills in this language. Those are the things that were significant to me, but it can be anything that's significant to you. I have found this method to be super helpful for me to reflect on my past months and years. It's also really helpful for me because I'm someone who I tend to maybe think I'm not going fast enough or I'm not doing enough. And this shows me in a tangible way that no, look at all that you've done this year. Look at how far you've come. I really find that comforting and it inspires me to keep going and keep pushing forward. So I also will take my yearly reflection and I'll look at my vision board and I'll see how aligned am I with what my intentions are for my life. Also, how have my intentions shifted? How have I grown and expanded my interests? And now there maybe is this new thing that I'm interested in learning more about. There are some things that maybe were once fulfilling but no longer are, and maybe now instead they're even draining us. We can change our path. We can always start fresh at something else. We don't have to keep going at things if they don't bring us any joy anymore. There is so much out there to discover. We don't have to limit ourselves to what we were enjoying last year. We can always try something new. We can always start a new path. So at the end of every year, once I've made my yearly reflection, I also make a list of intentions for the year ahead. Sometimes they are more specific, like for example, one of my goals is to learn to drive. And this is really helpful for me because then when I do my monthly reflections throughout the year, I can keep myself accountable. Okay, so I said I want to learn to drive. Did I sign up for driving lessons? Am I going? Am I putting effort into this thing that I said I wanted to do? And this really helps me stay accountable to myself. Some of my goals are more vague, more general. For example, I have a friendship category, and one of those is staying in touch with my family and friends. And another one is trying new things so that I am getting out there and meeting new people. And again, when I do my monthly reflections, I can reflect on this. Have I been keeping in touch with my family and friends? Is there someone I've been meaning to call and I've been putting it off? Did I try a new social activity this month? Have I been trying to get out there and meet new people? Let's say I was staying home a lot the month before. Okay, well then I know next month if I see something that looks interesting, I should go because I know that that's something important to me to go out and meet new people. So I have to be the one who does it for myself. It's really amazing once you start taking the time to reflect and be intentional in your goals like this, how much you can see change in yourself and in your life from month to month. You'll see that your life has changed, your social circle has changed, your daily habits have changed. You'll see that meeting new people and trying new things, for example, can really bring about a lot of other changes in your life and expose you to a lot of things that you didn't know were there before. Overall, though, I really do try to take things day by day. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to think of all the things you have to do and all the things you want to do and all the things you would do if only you had the time. But in the end, we only have so much time in a day. And it's important to remember that life isn't only about checking off your to-do list, but it's also about doing things that make you happy and spending time with the people that you love. It's not always easy to find that balance, but I think it's so important that we try. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting or useful in your own way of organizing and goal setting. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Ciao!